So first you want to line up all of your boards and make sure that the grain patterns are the exact way that you want them to be on your actual desktop. And then you're going to take the boards and you're going to cut them to length. So I have one side going 60 inches long and the other side going a total of 50 inches long. And I went back and forth cutting the boards to make sure that they were lining up with my lengths, but also keeping the pattern. Once all of my boards were cut, I marked them and then I began creating my pocket holes. I'm using my Kreg Jig K4 to create all of my pocket holes, and I'm making sure to have the setting on both the Kreg and as well as my drill bit set to 3/4 of an inch for my 3/4 inch thickness of lumber. Okay, so here is what we're doing. I'm gonna do a herringbone pattern. Because we're doing an L-shaped desk, I figured I would blend the boards in the corner like that. I've never done a desk like this before. So I just created all of the pocket holes on the back. And now I'm going to glue and clamp. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna assemble like these three together and then those three together. And then I will assemble the two pieces together when I'm in the space because I know that I'm gonna have to cut it down. So a little tricky to tell in this video as I'm assembling them, but I did stagger and alternate my pocket holes. So the holes are spaced every about 6 to 8 inches, and I have it going in one direction and then the next one goes in the opposite direction. So in each board, they're actually spaced 12 to 16 inches apart. And to help keep everything aligned to make sure that my herringbone component lined up correctly, I actually temporarily attached it to make the L-shaped desk without any wood glue so that I could take the two parts apart so that I could run them down my table saw and get a clean cut on the edge. This is something that you can skip if all of your boards are lining up really nice on the edge. But if you're trying to build it into a space, I always recommend building it a little bit larger and then remeasuring the space and then trimming down to make sure that it fits very snugly. And be sure with each time that you're adding a board before you put in the screw that the two boards are flush and flat to one another. Once you've got all of the pocket screws in, you're going to flip it over, apply some wood filler on the seams or wherever it's needed, and then take your orbital sander with 120 grit, sand the entire tabletop, and then come back with 220 grit and sand it all over again. So the wood that I'm using is 1x8 boards of ash that have been milled down. And so the actual size is 3/4 of an inch to 7.5 inches. So I did 3 planks in a row, wood glue and pocket screwed them together. I sanded everything down with 120, and now I'm just going back in, and anything that I think needs some wood filler, I'm filling in with my fave plastic wood filler. I brought the desk to the actual job site, disassembled the two parts of the herringbone so that I could run it through the table saw. I needed an extra set of hands to make sure that I was running it through the table saw straight, and then used my guard on my second pass to make sure that it was very, very straight. So I'm just taking my pieces of ash, putting a bunch of wood glue in between. That's what's gonna be the main supporter of this. And then I've just taken some of my 1.25" pocket screws, and I'm just drilling them straight into the tabletop. we're gonna make the legs. So I've got these two. So this is one piece of wood. This whole thing was one piece of wood. I chopped it in half and then I cut it. So this is gonna be my legs, and then this is gonna be my bottom support and my top support that sits on the table. I wanted a very light natural color, so I applied just one coat of weathered oak stain onto the ash hardwood. This General Finishes is what I ended up using on my dining room table, and it has held up so well, and it doesn't change the color because it is water-based, so it doesn't yellow things out. So when applying the top coat, I try and go in long strokes in the direction of the grain just to prevent any type of unnecessary brush marks on my wood. In between the two coats, I will come back and sand with a 220 sanding block just to make sure that it is silky smooth before applying the second coat of General Finishes. After the second coat, I don't do anything. No sanding, no nothing.